Welcome to Southern Fried Baseball, brought to you by College Baseball Central, bringing you 90 feet closer to the greatest show on dirt. Here are your hosts.
Welcome in, college baseball fans. Week 1 of SEC play is behind us. We have some secondary records in all of our stuff. Exciting weekend, bat flips, ejections, home run robbings, upsets. Nick, how was it Friday night?
I mean, we could spend this entire hour talking about Friday night alone. I had our Twitter running and I could hardly even watch the games because my screen just kept updating so fast with somebody else scored, something else newsworthy happened. Like it was an insane Friday, and I can speak for myself, and I can't remember an opening day like it at all. Like it was insane. Like, I mean, you talk about I think the first SEC game that started was Tennessee Georgia fairly early, all the way down to the latest game that had Ole Miss and Texas playing until midnight with a blown 4-run lead or 5-run lead, and then extra innings. It just was all over the place. They definitely didn't leave us short of things to talk about. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible. Like you said, so much happened on Saturday and Sunday that when I was doing my deep dive, I almost forgot how good that Friday was. On Friday night, I tried this thing where I didn't see anything and I would just get rapid reactions like at midnight. Do not recommend that like at all, by the way. It was horrible. Never doing that one again. But let's start with that first series that kicked off. Tennessee and Georgia squared off. It was the proving time for Georgia. It was a really monster road series for Josh Nylander's its first SEC series. Tennessee wins Friday. Georgia bounces back on Saturday. And then on Sunday, just when you think Tennessee's about to steal it in that top of the ninth, we have that monster rob. Let's start with Friday night. It was Tegan Coons. I think he pitched phenomenal. What did you see from the Volunteers on Friday night? Because it felt like that was kind of the high point for them this series.
It was to be expected. I mean, Tegan Coons, you kind of know what you're getting every single week. His one bad outing so far has been because he threw basically 3 bad pitches against UCLA in Arlington, and hey, UCLA, the best team in the country, made him pay for it. That's just kind of how it goes, and that's what he looked like again this weekend. And if I would have been on the show last week, a lot of people didn't realize and were kind of still low on Tennessee. 2 of their top 4 guys in the lineup haven't even played until literally this weekend, where you had Garrett Wright leading off, and then you had Blake Grimmer batting in the 4-hole, playing first base. So those guys hadn't even played until the midweek game all season. And so I knew they were coming back. I guess Tennessee fans knew they were coming back, but just kind of held under check. I don't know if it was like purposely. I think it was just happened to be the right time where it's like, hey, we can get these guys back for SEC play. So we'll make sure they're healthy by then, and let's roll. Especially when it's 2 different things.
I really liked Garrett Wright, by the way. Yeah. I was going to say, I really liked Garrett Wright moving into the leadoff spot and moving Henry Ford back into a power spot. I think that gives them really, really good depth. They got a really great outing from Evan Blanco on Sunday before the bullpen kind of faltered late. I remember you weren't here for the show Wednesday, but I said that Tennessee needs to do a lot of things to make these decisions easy for Nylander. And on Sunday, I felt like they really didn't do that. Like they made him go to the bullpen really, really quick because Evan Blanco was cruising, and then suddenly he wasn't, and they were really searching for outs on Sunday. In Nylander's first SEC series, what did you think from his coaching decisions? Because I thought, except for that Sunday stuff, he was really kind of phenomenal all weekend.
Yeah, I mean, there was no second guessing that at least looking back on it now, there's nothing that I would have done differently that I can think of. I mean, especially Sunday, it doesn't matter if you're in SEC, Big 12, anything. When it comes Sunday, kind of late, you're searching at that time. I mean, you look at what they did the previous 2 days. You go all in to basically win those. Like Brandon Arvidsson throwing 4.1 innings on Friday, so you know he's done for the weekend, so you can't bring him in. It's just one of those where it's like you play to win the game other days, and it didn't work out. So then, yeah, you're kind of piecing things together. There's nothing I would have changed. It just happened to not go their way. I mean, a couple of big swings by Georgia. I still thought which is crazy to think, it still seems like Tennessee was the better team this weekend. And I have Georgia, I think, ranked 6th in the country. But it seemed like, especially being on the road, if this is a neutral site, Tennessee probably wins. So yeah, there's nothing that Elander did that made me second guess if he's the right guy for the job. Oh, I think we lost. Jake. Let me see if we can get him back real quick. But yeah, I guess just to carry on, I guess from the Georgia standpoint, just because we hadn't touched on Georgia, Joey Volchko, good, not great, and that was kind of one thing that we were all interested in seeing, like what was he going to look like in his first outing, especially with SEC play starting. I thought he was good. Didn't think he was great. It was interesting that the way they did their rotation too, especially with Biggie going Saturday, Ishikawa going Sunday, and Aoki and Matt Scott being their bullpen guys. Was very interesting to see. You know what you're getting from the offense. I just wonder how this pitching staff is going to go the rest of the season because Ishikawa, I texted our group, and he's not an SEC starter. He's just not. It doesn't translate from Seattle to the SEC. Can he be a great bullpen piece? Yes, but then also if he's playing center field, it's tough to bring a guy that's from center field to out of the bullpen and just like to throw in the middle of a game. So that will be interesting moving forward. But yeah, Georgia's very good. I think Tennessee is still very good. So I don't have any issues about these two teams.
Sorry about the technical difficulties there. I think for me, this felt like one, and this is going to sound really weird to say, but that Tennessee actually won the series and Georgia didn't, despite them taking 2 of 3. I thought Tennessee played fine. I actually feel more confident about Tennessee than I do Georgia going forward. I mean, if they're playing at 14 other ballparks, they take 2 of 3. Obviously, how Tennessee responds, and we'll talk about it with LSU here in a little bit, but a loss like that could stick with you. And it's one of those things where you blink and you could have a bad weekend like Tennessee could have and let this get away from you. And you blink and you're 1-5 in the SEC. I think this is where I think Elander's next test is going to be is how they kind of respond. Grades for me, I'll go B for Tennessee and really close to kind of being an A+ if they steal it. Georgia, I think it's C+. For as good as they played, and I think that's, one of the greatest moments at Foley, you're supposed to take 2 of 3 at home, if not sweep. And Tennessee, I know a lot of people had been down on them. You want to feel like that's one of those ones where you really want to sweep. So that's why I'm kind of like low on Georgia. After that, they really didn't look that good against Tegan Coons. They really didn't look that good against Evan Blanco. And for some of the starters that they faced in the SEC, they're going to need their starters to step up. And that's the thing for me is I actually feel worse about Georgia than I do with Tennessee.
I don't know. I mean, I think that's a good series win. You're talking about 2 top 20 teams in the country. You're like, and we know how this conference goes. You're fighting at 2 or 3, no matter how you get it. As long as you get it, that's a win. And that's kind of how that's how I see it. I'm not any higher or lower on Georgia based on this weekend personally. So it really was just one of those weekends where it's like they did their job, got the job done. Defensive, I will say one thing coming out this weekend. This is the best defensive team in the SEC. I don't know. It was kind of, I think, would have put them kind of like 1-2 with Texas going into it. And I think Georgia now is just by like heads and tails above like anybody else in the SEC defensively, which it doesn't get talked about enough. Doesn't matter if it's our show or any other show. Defense still matters in baseball. It's not just an offensive game. It's not just pitching. And this is by far the best defensive team in the SEC, which I think needs to get talked about and kind of raises their ceiling more than a lot of teams.
Yeah, and for as up and down as the pitching was, they have a lot of depth there. But let's move on to a team that does not have any pitching depth. The LSU Tigers lost 2 of 3 to the Vanderbilt Commodores. Vanderbilt, by many accounts, was one of the worst SEC teams coming into this weekend. They chased Kason Evans early on Friday. Saturday, much more of the same as they lost 11-3. And then Sunday, they ended up just getting Vandy when they ran out of gas down that Sunday stretch. Let's start with the Vanderbilt Commodores. Do you think that this is a sign for things to come, or do you think that they just got a really bad team on a bad weekend?
I don't know. I wish I could answer your question, but I really don't. I still don't. Even though Vandy scored a lot of runs this weekend, I don't think it was their offense's doing as much as it was Vandy's pitching staff's doing, especially Friday. Obviously, we can almost take Friday out of it because I don't know what it was, 11 walks, 4 hit by pitches. It was just insane numbers. But I still don't believe in this offense very much. And if their pitching staff, if Connor Fennell, if he's not going to really be a Friday, Saturday type guy in the SEC this year, I'm worried about them. I think both of these, coming out of the series, this is going to sound bad to say, but I think I texted, Matt and Q and Smitty Saturday night and was like, maybe both these teams just suck. It was so bad, and it wasn't even they were close games, and they weren't enjoyable to watch, if you know what I mean. It was just It was bad baseball from both standpoints. From the Vandy side, yeah, I don't believe in the offense still. I want to see it again. Let's see it for 2 more weeks and see if they can actually put up runs without being just hand fed.
They're just so homer heavy. I feel like every highlight they post is homers, which again, we'll have to look at their road schedule, but not every park is going to play like Hawkins. And that's the thing that I think really worries me. That, and if Fennell's not going to be a Friday night guy, they already don't have the Sunday bullpen to give away, 18 outs on a Friday night if Fennell goes shorts. I mean, that's what really happened on Friday is they just kind of ran out of pitching. For me at LSU, the hitting was a little bit better on Friday and Sunday, but Saturday it felt like they kind of reverted back to their old ways. They're going to have to figure out a lot of things. I know on Wednesday I made the bold assessment that, Nate Yeske's taken a team with 5 or 6 pitchers to Omaha. They might not even have that. I mean, they Cooper Moore's now had some kind of up and down starts. He feels very, very boom bust. William Schmidt was pretty great, but even then I felt like he got chased a little bit too early for a Sunday guy for as good as he's been. And that's the thing is none of these guys have really stepped up to try and take Friday night from Kason Evans. And he is not looking like a Friday night guy in any shape or form right now.
No, I think the announcers did a great job where they basically compared it to Arkansas last year and basically said, we don't know what we're going to do starting wise. We're going to have to piece this together and maybe some things work out towards the end of the year. Maybe some of these guys have to move to the bullpen. William Schmidt's been their best arm ever since, I think, was it week 1, I believe, where he struggled the most. I think it was against Milwaukee, where he kind of had a rough outing, but ever since then he's been very good. Kason Evans, I don't, it's tough. Well, he's not a Friday night guy, but I don't think they have one, which is crazy to say for LSU. So you talk about they can get any recruit, they can get all this NIL, they can bring in basically any transfer they want. For them not to have a real Friday night guy, Cooper Moore getting him from Kansas it wasn't even a huge deal when it happened. And that kind of tells you all you need. And then he ends up being a Saturday guy for him. I don't think that was the plan when you get him out of the portal. It's not like you get him from Kansas, who was Kansas. He wasn't even Kansas's ace. And then you bring him in. I don't think when you brought him in, you're thinking, oh my God, this needs to be our Friday or Saturday guy. This needs to be our best arm. Otherwise, you're in a bad spot. And that's what it feels like right now. I mean, let me ask you this, because I texted a buddy about this. Where would you have right now LSU in your SEC power rankings? Obviously, South Carolina, Missouri being 15, 16.
I don't know. I'm not sure I would put that's the thing is it's not like LSU's played this gauntlet. Everybody likes to say that Missouri's Northeastern, and it's not like they get these fluke bad losses where it's okay, they gave up a home run. Kason Evans, for as bad as he's been, I think he's only given up it was 1 home run going in, and I'll have to check how many he gave up, but it's not like they're just giving up the fluke long ball. They're getting singled to death. This is kind of crazy. I might put them 16th.
Really?
LSU, and I'd probably put Vandy 13th. And it's not because Missouri and South Carolina are that much better than Vandy or that much worse than Vandy. Like, I mean, bad teams find a way to lose, and portal teams, when things go bad, crumble.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're seeing a lot of guys that just aren't bought in on Jay Johnson. The lineup, I know Stanfield returned, and I know they scored double-digit runs in both games, but I think a lot of those, like second base, is still kind of a revolving door. The defense from Trent Caraway at third base, I think, has got to get better. They're still trying to find a DH. I know Cerno played the DH Sunday. I mean, it's SEC play. Like, you should have your lineup kind of set, or if it's not set, it should be like a problem with Mississippi State and Oklahoma, where it's because everybody's hitting so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is not the reason that LSU has an open second base competition, is because everybody's hitting so good.
No, I mean, yeah, and that's what coming into it, we knew that was going to be a battle, and we thought it was going to be because Simpson and Dardar are both so good that it's like, oh my gosh, who's going to win the job? And now it's just who sucks the least right now. It's one of those where it's even.
I thought Braun was going to be more in the mix than he is.
Braun,
he's another guy that I feel like hasn't really taken any steps to solidify it.
He didn't get enough experience either, so I think now it's kind of tough to throw him in. All of a sudden, it's like now we're going to play him in SEC play. It doesn't work, but yeah, the biggest scare for me, we talk about the pitching staff, but it's almost, and you kind of mentioned it about the Jay Johnson, like, are they buying in? They look, I don't even know how to put, like, they look almost lifeless, or like they're getting blown out Saturday and it looked like they didn't care, which is not a usual, like, Jay Johnson type of team. They look so mad at each other.
Thing too about that.
Yeah, it was just,
is
I don't know what to say.
Yeski and Jay Johnson, of anybody in the country, should probably be the two guys that get the most credit for getting the most out of these guys. Like, I get not wanting to trust like Jason Kelly at Washington or some other guys, but it's like Yeski's been to Omaha more than anybody as an assistant. Jay's won 2 of the last 3. Like, that should be the easiest thing to get is buy-in from Jay Johnson. And I don't know what it is in the water, because they have a lot of talent on paper, but we're quickly, it's kind of like the prospects are turning 24. Like, there's only so much that you can talk about potential before it just becomes what you are. Like, Dardar's probably a 260 hitter. Like, he's not going to suddenly have this late power surge. I should say this about it, though. For as bad as LSU is, I feel like the people that are getting attacked are the ones that shouldn't be getting attacked. Like, it's not Milam. It's really not Aaron Beatty. And those are kind of the two that I think are taking the brute force of a lot of the hate that LSU fans are dishing out.
Yeah, but I think part of it was, it's one of those things with high expectations from a player standpoint come kind of the backlash from fans. Like, I think Milam being put on a pedestal, like, I didn't put him there, but like people were saying like, oh, could he be a top 5 shortstop in the sport? I was like, no. Is he a great team guy? Yes. And he got hot, and I mean, he halfway like owns that national championship last year because the run he went on as soon as regional started. Like, he was one of the hottest hitters in the country. So
he got hot in the regional in 24 too.
Yeah, and maybe he's just one of those guys where it's like, hey, like when the spotlight's on is when he's hot, and that's when he does his best. That could just, and which is fine, and that's just what some guys are like. But yeah, I don't think it's him. It's like, yeah, Stanfield just came back. Obviously, Brown has been insane all season long. We wondered what York was going to be like when moving into SEC. It's cool when he hits a home run, because like when he hits it, he really gets it. But what's he doing every other bat? Like, he is walking quite a bit, but I didn't even check to see what he's hitting, but I honestly can't. It can't be that hot.
Here's the scary thing.
So I don't know what else can get better is what is the scary thing for me. Is like, who's going, like, do I see anybody that's going to be like, oh my gosh, they're playing way below their standards, that I think is going to just improve them?
I don't think Jake Brown's going to hit like he's been hitting either. That's the other thing that's a little bit scary too.
Well, it's tough too. I mean,
I know, that's what I said. He's been ridiculous. That's the other thing, that if we're going to kind of look ahead, it's like, I don't think anybody in the country can go on the heaters that he's been going on. So when he kind of has, a 1 for 8 with a single, who's really going to step up for the lineup? Yeah. But let's move on to probably the series of the weekend for everybody. The Arkansas Razorbacks took 2 of 3 from Mississippi State. They win Friday. Mississippi State gets that Saturday early game. The quote-unquote Sunday game was a doubleheader. Arkansas kind of woke up late in that second game and then took game 3. This one felt like just an old school SEC bare knuckle brawl where a lot of people still had Mississippi State above Arkansas despite them winning. But, I mean, this was probably the series of the weekend for me. I mean, Arkansas finally got some good starting pitching. Gackle did Gackle things. Then they responded when they got down. What did you see from Arkansas this weekend?
I was impressed. I was one I've been very critical, like outly critical about this team, especially offensively. They really stepped up, and it was from guys that they needed to step up. Like Robinette had a better weekend. I mean, Pompey, I'm so happy for that guy. As much crap as he's gotten from that fan base, I mean, partially fairly, he's leading the SEC in strikeouts. He's hitting whatever it was, 208, I think, going into Friday, and he got a good deal. We'll put it that way, to go to Arkansas. Supposed to be their guy. Hasn't worked out until this weekend, and it was perfect timing. So I'm extremely happy for him. Souza got hot. It was one of those weekends that maybe this is where it's like, you know what, Arkansas just cares about SEC play, and we have to, at some point, we have to trust DVH. We have to trust these guys because no matter what, they're going to go at least 18-12. I can't remember how many, whatever it is, that years in a row that they've won at least 18 straight games.
I would say that's low. They're usually the 20-10 team.
Yeah, but it's
I think they won 20 games.
Streak. Yeah, there's a streak of like 8. They've won 18 plus. I can't remember what it is. Like it's like 9, 10, 11 straight years or something like that. So this told me that they're right there. I was honestly, want to flip it to the other side. Very impressed with Mississippi State. O'Connor's obviously his first deal, his first weekend in the SEC was very good. This was just a great series. Like it was also well played. It wasn't like, I hate to harp on it, but this wasn't the LSU Vandy series where it was ugly and let's see who fights to win 2 games. This was a very good weekend for both teams. I think we would have been happy with either team, no matter who came out 2-1. It was very well played. These are both, as they stand, top 6, 7 teams in the country, if not higher. My fear about Mississippi State now, they've played 5 tough games and won 1 of them. That's would be my only worry kind of moving forward.
Is there something to be said, though, that they've been competitive in all their losses? Because Southern Miss, again, was a midweek. That was a competitive loss. UCLA. The only one that, Sunday, the back end of that Sunday doubleheader, I think they played fine. I think the thing that worries me about Mississippi State is it seems like when they win these, they've only won it once, but Valanciunas was an SEC Player of the Week this week for his start.
Yeah.
So is that really what it's going to take for Mississippi State to win these games? I thought the bullpen depth, I thought it should have been a little bit better. That's kind of the only negative and downside, is that I thought it was going to be an A+ bullpen, and it feels like kind of a B+ thing. They're still working through some of the lineup stuff, as I think they rolled out 3 different lineups. They got to kind of get that figured out. But I think this is one where if you're Mississippi State, I think Tanner Allen said it, where, you're supposed to lose 2 of 3 on the road. And as long as you take care of business at home, it really doesn't matter. And someone chirped him, and he showed his national championship ring. So I think he kind of won that. This feels like 2 Omaha teams. This felt like Omaha-esque games. What would you grade? I'd give Arkansas an A, and then Mississippi State a B+ right behind it, of like an 88 versus 90. Is that kind of what you're seeing?
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. You're 2 or 3 pitches away from, like I said, this flipping 2-1 the other way. I guess a worry I have is the game they won is because Ace Reese went nuts. And it could be where, but also we knew he has that potential, and that's why you have him, where it's like he can win your game by himself, which it kind of did. He had 5, I think he had 5 of the RBIs on that.
Yeah, he had the backside homer, and then he had the pull side double.
Center wall. Yeah, the right center wall into the wind that was smoked. Which it's. Yeah, and what Valanciunas is going to be good. I've been very surprised with their pitching staff. That was the biggest question going into the year. I will say, like you said, the depth doesn't seem to be there out of the bullpen. but the quality guys they bring in the spots that they want to bring them in have been very good so far.
But
like the initial go-tos.
You feel really good about McPherson on Friday and then Valencius. Okay, before people come at us in the comments, they pronounce them different ways.
Yeah.
I've read both media guides from their previous institutions.
Correct.
So you can't go wrong.
Yeah, they do it on purpose. It's one of them goes by Valencius, one of them goes by Valencius, like on purpose. So yeah,
but it's not like if Casey Evans goes 7 innings, you're gonna go, oh wow, Casey. Like if McPherson or Valenciunas goes 7, you're gonna go, yeah, that's about what they do. 7 innings, 2 runs, and I think Mississippi State's gonna take that. Obviously, when they get chased early. And when their bullpen kind of gets a little bit messed up, I think that's where you can kind of run into some funny business. But again, I mean, these are very nitpicky problems, I think, for both teams. But let's kind of breeze through these next two. Auburn sweeps Missouri. They got 3 fantastic starts. Missouri got really, really good Friday and Saturdays. The back end of that double header is where things kind of fell apart as Auburn won 9-2. Did you come away impressed with Missouri? Or is it cause for concern that the team that only won 3 SEC games last year was in 2 of the 3 games against Auburn? Which one do you kind of say?
I've been impressed with Missouri. I think we've kind of said this ad nauseum. They are much better than they were last year, and they know their game. I'm surprised their pitching was so. It was almost dominant this weekend against a very good Auburn lineup. I mean, you take if Bub Terrell doesn't hit a clutch 2-run home run in the 8th inning and knock the lights out on Saturday, then who knows what, or on Friday, who knows what ends up happening in that game. And I will give Auburn credit for this. Good teams find ways to win. You said that, I think, about 20 minutes ago. And that's what they did. It is so tough for every single team, no matter who it is. We may go up to Columbia, Missouri, the furthest north team, especially in March. That is not an
it was
easy
actually
place
warm.
to go to.
So
I know.
It was 70s. I actually looked at the weather for it, by the way, because I was thinking the same thing.
I'm not even talking about temperature, though. You're going up there and you're used to playing in front of these big crowds, all of this stuff. And you go up there to Columbia, there may be 1,000 people there, like maybe on a good day. It's easy to sleepwalk and it's easy to kind of get stuck. And it's easy to mentally think, okay, this is Missouri. We're going to come here. All you have to do is show up. We're going to win all 3. It didn't go like that. They had to fight, and good for them because they found ways to win all 3 games. You talk about the 2-0 win with the Bub Terrell. Talk about extra inning win in that game 1, and then obviously ran away with it Sunday once Missouri kind of the depth. That's where the depth shows up. But yeah, so I would say I'm impressed on both ends. I still think Auburn is a top 5 team in the SEC, and I think Missouri is a lot better than they were last year, and they're going to give teams some fits.
Yeah, I could see them getting 7 or 8 wins in the SEC. I think, and I want to clarify that I have Auburn second in the nation, so I'm very high on Auburn. But it does kind of worry me that week 1 against Youngstown State, who now we know is one of the worst teams in the country, they kind of had offenses like this. But I talked about it with Florida on Friday on one of my tweets. At the end of the day, when we go to pick our 8 hosts, we're not going to be like, well, Auburn only won by 2 against Missouri. Like, we're really just going to be looking at the numbers. And I think that's the thing for me. Missouri feels like, I think, an average team, whereas last year they were terrible. I think that they could give a team on a bad weekend a ton of fits. I think that they could beat South Carolina, Vandy, LSU, and it really wouldn't be that surprising. Probably, I think the most irrelevant series in the best way, Kentucky sweeps Alabama. I know Tyler Bell didn't play. I know that they had some kind of web gym worthy plays, but I don't think anybody talked about this one nationally. They went 7-4 Friday. Cleaver pitches a gym on Saturday before the bullpen kind of gives it up, and then Sunday
you have it backwards.
It was Cleaver didn't make it close game.
Yeah, Cleaver didn't make it out of the first inning on Saturday.
So I'm thinking of the guy that pitched Sunday then. Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah. Harris. Yeah.
But is Kentucky – I'll say this. I am not high on Alabama at all. I thought I was, and then I went and looked at some of the stats. They are the 16th average team in the SEC and the 14th most runs allowed in the SEC. So they kind of just win. They don't really do anything that good. LeBron, I think, is kind of fading a little bit. It feels like with the bullpen that it's just kind of like you can wait it out and they'll be fine. Do you find yourself walking away knowing more about Kentucky or knowing more about Alabama?
I would say knowing more about Kentucky. And I say it just from this standpoint. Like all 3 games they won them completely different ways. They needed power in some. They played small ball on Saturday. Like I think it was like back-to-back squeezes to score 2, like to tie, or that was on Friday. I think to tie, or it was either Friday or Saturday, where they to tie it up and then to take the lead. We're both on squeeze bunts, which is like that's exactly what Minjian wants. And you said it to begin this, where it's like this feels like a quiet series in the SEC. Mingione could care less, and that seems like something he would like it that way and keep it that way. So I'm very high on this. I'm higher on this Kentucky team after this weekend. I thought they would take 2 out of 3. I didn't think they would sweep. I'm surprised. From an Alabama standpoint, yeah, Tyler Fay and Zane Adams have to be better for them on Fridays and Saturdays, just because of the lack of depth they have behind them, whether it's the bullpen or anything. Miles Upchurch as a freshman, when he's your Sunday guy, he's fine, but he's still a freshman. You have to win one of those Friday, Saturday games when you have 2, as you said, like coming into the season, we're supposed to be your aces, or like you thought you had 2 aces. One of them has to throw like it, and they're just not right now. Yeah, LeBron's been fine. Good, not great. It's just what is anybody else really doing? So it's I
think Neal's been, and again,
Brady Neal's been.
Yeah, but like I don't think Torres is hitting really that good.
No, it's like you said, there's nothing to really speak about, and they feel like they're in that like 13-14 range for me. With like if you said right now who wins a series between Alabama and LSU, I couldn't tell you. It's right there. It's going to be ugly to watch, but I'd be interested.
A few years back ago, I asked Josh Holiday about scheduling tough, and he had the phrase, "I'd rather know we suck in February than get punched in the mouth week 1." I feel like Alabama just got punched in the mouth, and a lot of people in that staff are going, "Oh shit, we are probably not as good as we think we were." Like the tournament that they played in, I know they took 2 of 3. That's been their only kind of. They looked really bad against Southern Miss. I think that this is just another meh Alabama team, which is kind of weird because I think everybody kind of expected them to be a lot better than they are. And I feel like I'm dogging on Alabama, but credit to Kentucky. I mean, they feel like one of the most underrated teams in the SEC. Here's the thing that's weird, and I said this analogy to Noah, and I wanted to get your take on it. I feel like Missouri is what Kentucky was when Mingione was starting to build it up, and Kentucky feels like what Vanderbilt was when Corbin was starting to build it up. Like it's dominant starting pitching, it's playing fundamental baseball, it's having a few guys that can bang the ball around the yard, but really just taking care of business and not messing around. And this Kentucky team does not mess around when they play.
No, and yeah, I guess that's a good comparison. I guess the way I don't see it is you don't have your first round arms, kind of like Vandy did. Like that was easy to build around when you have guys that you know.
Yeah, when you had David Price. Or...
Yeah, in the top, Sonny Gray. Yeah, you got guys that are going to be taken in the top, like whatever, first 5 picks of the draft. That makes it easy. I think what I was impressed with most is you talk about the starting pitching and how great it's been. It actually wasn't that great this weekend. Like Jackson Junkin was good. Like and then Ben Cleaver, I said it, didn't get out of the first inning on Saturday. Nate Harris was okay on Sunday. And they still found ways to win. Like they were able to piece things together. So the starting pitchers are good enough where like if this is their worst weekend or if this is as bad as they could be as a starting pitching staff and they still went 3-0, that's a good sign moving forward. And I think there's very nice things ahead for you, especially once they get I think Tyler Bell only played 1 game. So once he's back to fully healthy, this Kentucky team they're going to be dangerous.
Yeah, I'm excited to see them. Let's take a quick break and get an ad from our friends over at Home Field, best apparel in the business.
Before we get back to the action, we've got to tell you about the best gear in college sports. The place to go is Home Field Apparel. Check out the Diamond Classics collection, high-quality throwback jerseys for your favorite team. From the Arkansas Razorbacks to the Vanderbilt Commodores, Home Field has you covered. Home Field's the only apparel partner of College Baseball Central. Gear up for game day by visiting homefieldapparel.com.
Shout out to Home Field Apparel for sponsoring us. They have a fantastic basketball collection. I know that we're baseball guys, but it's unisport, if you will. A lot of their stuff's looking really, really great. But you mentioned that if this is how Kentucky is on a quote-unquote off weekend from their starters, they can still sweep Alabama. I think that this is another team that had a quote-unquote off weekend and still looked really dominant. The Texas Longhorns took 2 of 3 from Ole Miss. Friday night, Tristan Pacetta hits that grand slam. Texas battles back in the 9th before ultimately losing in the 11th. And then Harrison had a completely bounce-back game as they went 11-2. And Volantis had another bounce-back game as they went. I wouldn't even say bounce-back. I guess
just the Volantis
start. I texted this to you about how we need to start calling our player of the week the Dylan Volantis pitcher of the week, and he should be retired from getting picks in these. Let's start with the Friday night. What did you think? It was Texas's first loss of the year about the Friday night start for Texas.
It was good. I mean, you are one pitch away from a sweep against a very good Ole Miss team. I don't think there's really too much. I don't think they should be worried too much about it. I mean, Tristan Pacetta he got a pitch he liked, and yes, it was in a bad spot, and it was definitely a mistake. You should not throw it there. As some of our colleagues would say, don't miss. Terrible place to miss. And I think I rated it 9.7 on the bat flip scale because that was sick. But yeah, if you're Texas, you're very happy with this weekend. Obviously, you don't want to lose, especially in that fashion. Obviously, but in this sport, losses come, and it's better to lose that way. I mean, like I said, you're literally 1 out away from a sweep against a very good team. This is still the best team in the SEC, at least in my opinion. I don't want to speak for you. This is the best team in the SEC. I think Texas, which is crazy to think about. Like, I knew they were good, but now it feels like if you were to do like the tiers, it feels like there's a Texas tier and there is kind of a gap, I would say, until like you would get to like 2, 3, 4, no matter what or who you have next, whether it's Mississippi State, Arkansas, whoever else. So I was very impressed. I don't think, and I don't know if you were going to go here, but I wouldn't mess with the rotation. It's obviously working. Leave Volantis on Sundays because he's going, like, if you're stuck in a rubber match like they were this week, you know he's going to be the best arm that's going to, like, towing the rubber against no matter who you're facing, like, against in the SEC. So you know you're getting that on Sundays. I'm fine with it. Ruger Riojas he had his worst outing of the year, and it wasn't even that bad. Like, it was kind of surprising because he doesn't usually walk many people, and I think he had 5, if I'm mistaken. But yeah, this Texas team is very, very good. Also, offensively, you talked about it. Like, they're getting power from guys like Timo Vaquera, Anthony Pack Jr. with a big-time home run in his very first ever SEC game. Like, just clutch. Aiden Robbins is a superstar, and it still feels like Carson Tenney hasn't even taken off yet. So you're talking about all these different ways, and like basically they're having different players every game show up when they need to, which is what good teams do. Like, they're not relying on their 2 superstars to win them games. It's up and down the lineup, 1 through 9. Guys are producing, arms are producing. So yeah, I have them as the second best team in the country, number best team in the SEC. This is a very, very good baseball team, and as of right now, I would say they're going to win back-to-back SEC championships.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm kind of leaning towards too. You mentioned maybe moving Ruger out of the Friday. These stats come from 6-4 Analytics. He leads the country in xFIP at .77. Next closest is 1.42. He is 4th in the country with 50 Ks. For as good as Volantis has been, Ruger's arguably been better.
Yeah.
I think the thing for me, before I want to say that Texas is kind of a step, I want to say too that I have them first, but I was very, very low on Ole Miss. I thought that the only way that they would win is if Elliott kind of had a good start, and then Saturday they lose their Saturday guy. I mean, Texas just finds new ways to win. They are losing Jonah Williams for the year. He's going to have shoulder surgery, but I mean, like Livingstone wasn't getting the at bats as he probably should have deserved. Larson wasn't getting the at bats. Duplantier in kind of his senior moments, kind of taking a huge step forward. Like, I think Texas is going to be still very, very competitive. Yes, they're going to miss Jonah Williams, but I mean, this is just such a deep team.
Yeah.
Like I said, Harrison in a bounce back start on Saturday was phenomenal. I think for me, I came away thinking Ole Miss is kind of meh, and this is what happens when meh teams go up against the SEC teams. They moved Cozart into the Sunday kind of bullpen role. I thought that was kind of interesting. But, I mean, Auburn and Texas for me are 1 and 2 in the SEC, and they get to play this weekend. So I'm super, super excited to see that one.
Yeah, that's going to be very, very fun. I haven't even looked forward to next week's schedule yet. I can only imagine there's no way it touches what happened this Friday, but I'm sure it's going to be very good. And yeah, it's Auburn. I think it's at Auburn too. If I remember seeing the preseason. Yeah. So at Plainsman is definitely going to be fun. It also feels like, because we haven't talked about it, but Texas, their only away games have just been like those. I think they played at Texas State midweek, and they played the 3 neutral games, which is not really neutral when you're
it was
going from Austin to Houston. You're juggling like an hour and a half. You're still going to be heavy. So yeah, let's see what this team does on the road. I'm very interested to see that.
I believe that was the first SEC loss for Auburn last year when they got swept. And before we move on, we haven't even talked about Casey Borba and Ethan Mendoza.
Yeah,
those two have just been ungodly hot at the dish. Rodriguez has played really, really good defensively.
Becerra all of a sudden found power that he has never had in his life. It's
despite the loss. I mean, they had a clutch hit Friday with 2 outs. Like they're getting guys on base. They're putting themselves into successful positions. You mentioned about it. How do you beat Texas in a series? Because I don't really see how you do it. Because even if one of the starters gets chased early, like we saw with Ruger, they have enough bullpen depth to kind of push through. They have enough firepower to win kind of these slugfests. Like, I don't really know how you beat Texas in a series.
Yeah, it's going to have to be with great starting pitching, which I don't think they have seen yet. I mean, they kind of lucked out, especially in like you're talking about. Cam Palooka got hurt, so they didn't end up facing him against Coastal. That was supposed to be the prime time game on Friday. So Hunter Elliott obviously is good. He has not been great this year. He's been so up and down. Let's see what they do against Jake Marciano on Friday for Auburn, because that's going to be by far the best arm they've faced this season. So it's going to have to be that. But you talk about winning a series, because then days after that, even if they lose to Marciano, then somebody's going to have to beat Harrison and Volantis on Saturday, Sunday. And they're usually going to have pitching matchups or that favor them on Saturday. Well, definitely Sunday. I mean, the best Sunday starter clearly right now that they own. So, yeah, if they keep finding ways to win, like I said, there's a reason why I think they're going to win the SEC, and it is because they're the toughest team to beat in the series, and it take 2 out of 3.
We did have a question in the chat. Texas is the class of the SEC. Who are you higher on, Ole Miss or Kentucky? Kentucky. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm way, way higher in Kentucky. Is that kind of how you are too?
Yeah, I am, and I guess it is because of the starting pitching for Kentucky. Like I said, the starting pitching for them was down. Like Jelkin wasn't great. You talk about Nate Harris wasn't great. Ben Cleaver got pulled in the first inning on Saturday. And
we did have a comment too, as you kind of fact checked me. Right. Yeah, I get to fact check you.
Yeah, correct.
I don't know how we both got the Nate Harris. Like, he pitched phenomenal.
Backwards. But yeah, it is. Like, I'm extremely high on this Kentucky team compared to Ole Miss. I know you have them low. I think I had Ole Miss at 12, I believe, in the power ratings. So I'm not like extremely low on them, but
I have seen Ole Miss too. That might be the difference.
Yeah, but their offense is offensively they're very good. I just don't, outside of Hunter Elliott, and which Hunter Elliott needs to kind of figure it out. And I'm just not extremely high on this team.
No, and you mentioned the lineup, but it feels like it's Will Furnace when the game's on the line, Judd Udemark in the 4th inning for a home run, and then Becerra.
Yeah.
Like, that feels like the whole offense. Like, I mean, they're not getting any production from the shortstop position. Federico's, I think, taking his sophomore slumps early. I think he'll get hot later. But, I mean, it's not the deep lineup that they had last year. It's not the bullpen that they had last year. It's an old team. I think they'll, like, out mature some teams that they play. But I'm very, very low on Ole Miss. But they did beat the number 2 team and the consensus number 2 team in the nation on Friday night. So maybe we're being a little bit too harsh on them. Next up, the Florida Gators used 3 fantastic starts to dominate South Carolina. They won 1-0 Friday. Saturday, they won 3-0. And then Sunday, it was 13-3. And I don't even think it was really that close as they blew it up in the 5th. Okay, let's get the elephant out of the room. If 100% is being fired and 0% is Tony Vitello while he was at Tennessee, what is the number you would give Paul Mainieri following a sweep against Florida?
Well, it depends on what we think, because the plan was for him to only be there 2 years anyways. Do I think they fire him mid-season? Probably not. Just because I think they already know, at least from never mind. I'm not going to put anything out there that I've heard.
I don't know. Okay, I keep hearing the same thing. I'll say it. I hear the same things that you are hearing about how, they're not going to fire him mid-season. Like, they're not going to cause that turmoil. They have no intention of firing him. Plainsman has been a ghost town. Like, I get that burners don't run college athletics, but we're now seeing South Carolina burners convert to being Queens College fans. It's just our buddy Vern Funquist said he took the game. Like, LSU opening weekend was $200 to go see him, or $200 coming up this weekend, and he could get 4 tickets behind home plate for $50. I think he actually got robbed spending $50 on tickets at Founders. Like, it's too nice of a ballpark. They spent too much NIL money to not score a run. And so here's the question. Did they overpay and guys that didn't want to come to South Carolina ended up wanting to go there? Is it the assessment of talent from Terry Rooney and Paul Mainieri? Is it the lack of coaching from Paul Mainieri and Terry Rooney? What do you think's the root of South Carolina sitting at 0-3 in SEC play?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's the lack of. I wouldn't even say, like, from a scouting and kind of recruiting standpoint, because all the names that they brought in were all guys that when we saw it all on paper, I think you and I both, and a lot of people in this industry, when we saw who they brought in, we're like, oh my gosh, like, they're actually putting together a pretty good offensive roster based on what these kids have done at their previous destinations. Now, you never know how things are going to work out. You don't know how guys are going to translate into, whether it's into the SEC, into a bigger environment, into, like, hey, we're having eyeballs on us now. And it's so different. Sometimes it translates. Sometimes, like, think of Aiden Robbins from Seton Hall. You realize what you're getting from Seton Hall, like, in a very good kind of bat to ball guy. What you didn't know you were getting is he's been, like, kind of the life and blood for, like, that heartbeat for Texas, where it's like when he gets on base, he's the one who fires guys up. He's the one who builds momentum, like the stolen bases. He's the one firing guys up. He reminds me of, like, the whole reason that Tennessee took off in the first place, when they had, like, you had, like, your Jordan Becks and your Drew Gilberts, where it's like you had those guys on the team that can fire somebody up and, like, really just ignite the entire team. You don't know when you're getting that in the portal versus when you're not. It doesn't seem like South Carolina has. Like, it just seems like
they have Valentine, but Valentine's also a pitcher.
Yeah, it is. They brought in 9 guys to put into a lineup that just, like, 9 guys individually can be okay. It just doesn't feel like they are meshing that well. It doesn't feel like they have, like, a center kind of piece. And yeah, I think the season is just, it's going to be a struggle. They might be worse than Mizzou.
They don't do anything well. Like, actually, I'll say this: they do one thing well. Paul Mainieri covers for his team really well in press conferences. Like, that's about the only thing that they do well. Like the whole thing with Bo Hollins missing a bunt, and then that, like, it's just a weird team. Like, and not in a good way. Like, I don't know if they're cursed but the thing for me is, like, you look at Aiden Robbins, you look at Timo, you look at Mendoza, like these are guys that put on weight. Hakopian and A&M. Again, I haven't seen South Carolina in person, so I can't attest, but it doesn't look like Valentine's put on weight. It doesn't look like Scobie's put on a ton of weight. Like, that's what I said is they're just not functioning well as a baseball program right now. All right, enough on South Carolina. Mm-hmm. How good was Liam Peterson on Friday night? Like, that was amazing.
Yeah, the Florida pitching staff was great, especially him. I mean, even Aiden King, it felt like that was not a great outing for Aiden King's standards. And I say that he gave up 0 runs, but it was like he had guys on base almost every single inning, but he worked around it, which tells you a lot about the kid. I still think he's the best arm on their staff, even though obviously Peterson, ever since that first weekend, has been great. It really is it has turned into that 1A, 1B, like we said.
Ever since Q's tweet, Peterson's been rolling. It's the power of Q. We'll give Q Millie all the credit.
Yes, the bulletin board materials is still sitting there. But yeah, we have to talk about this offense. That was strange. I mean, you basically 2 days in a row. I mean, obviously Sunday was fine.
Okay, like Friday though, they found a way to win.
I don't care. You don't get no hit through 8 1/3 against South Carolina. I don't care. That's a loss. At least that is a mental loss, whether it's a win on the scoreboard or not. That's a mental loss. And then also what you would think is you think most Kevin O'Sullivan teams, like, we know how fiery he is, and I'm sure he lit them up. Gators have no arms is not true. They have 2 arms.
No, they have arms. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They have arms, no surprise. So he's agreeing with you.
But they have very few arms, because once they get kind of bullpen, I would say after like the 7th, 8th guys, but also most weekends you don't have to get that deep. It just, I'm worried about this offense. Kevin O'Sullivan usually fires guys up. When you see them come out, I thought Saturday they were just going to be like, okay, we played awful on Friday, so we need to be a lot better. And then when they only put up 3 on Saturday and just didn't look – it was another thing where it didn't look like they cared a whole lot. Like, there was no firing guys up or anything. It just – I don't know. It's a weird feeling to see. I'm going to have to see more from this team. But, yeah, it was – even though they went 3-0, which is kind of crazy to say after sweeping a weekend, it was a very worrisome weekend.
So, just starters, rank Florida, Auburn, and Texas.
Well, Texas won.
Texas won?
I think, yeah. I would say Texas 1, Florida 2, Auburn 3.
See, I'd have Auburn, Texas, Florida.
You'd have Auburn first.
Yeah.
I think so. Marciano has probably been the best out of any of the arms. But then after that, I'd probably go 4 or 5 deep before I got to another Auburn arm.
Let me pull the stats. Jackson Sanders, 7 innings, 1 run, 8 Ks. Alec Petrovich, 7 1/3, 1 run, 8 Ks. First time since 2014, the weekend rotation has all gone 7 innings apiece. I mean, I think it's an underrated staff, but Florida, they're another team where if they're playing their A+ ball and that staff can go deep into games, like, they're a tough week. Like, they might be one of the toughest team to beat in a weekend series if they're on. Like, it might be just one of those things where you have to hope for them to be off, and you chase King, Walls, or Peterson early and get them into that bullpen. I believe we have one last series. It was probably the most exciting series. Friday night, the Oklahoma Sooners beat the Texas A&M Aggies. Jackson Willits is ejected. Your old teammate gets into a pissing match with Reggie Willits, who is Jackson Willits' dad, ironically. OU wins 8-7. Jackson Willits is suspended for Saturday. A&M wins 9-5 Saturday. But again, I felt like that game was a lot closer, as they could have had some insurance late. And then Sunday, in the Sundays of Sundays, with wind, with walks, with pitchings, Oklahoma outlasts Texas A&M 11-12. A&M tied it in the top of the 8th after a 4-run 8th inning before OU had one in the bottom of the 8th for kind of the gentleman's walk-off, if you will. I feel really good about A&M. I feel really good about Oklahoma. Here's the part that I think is a little bit kind of worrisome. Do you think that this is the Cam Johnson, Cord Rager, and LJ Merciless that we see? Or was this A&M finally being healthy, getting Wesley Jordan and Chris Hakopian back, and it just being a grind to get through?
That was the first thing I was going to go to is this going to be – because this is now this is either 2 or 3 weeks in a row now with this Cam Johnson where it's like, oh my gosh, the kind of old Cam Johnson is coming back. And I'm afraid it is. I thought Mercurius was fine on Saturday. I think he's still their best arm. But yeah, I came out of this very high on both teams. I think both of these offenses are way above both these pitching staffs so far. And I don't want to like take either team down because I still believe in these pitching staffs. Like I think Aiden Sims is better than he looked. There were some fluky, like it was, like you said, it was a Sunday of Sunday.
Did you see
Willett's so fluky?
His hit where it was like towards the center fielder and like in kind of like that Bermuda Triangle between short, second, and center, and then it blew like all the way over to like the foul line.
Had the guy like breaking his neck. Yeah,
so I want to give a shout out to our guy Aggie Baseball News. He had some stats on the series: 27 runs on 27 hits for Texas A&M, 22 walks allowed, 25 runners left on base in 3 games. For Boomer, 34 hits, netting 25 runs, 35 strikeouts, 17 walks, and 28 runners left on base. Like I said, I feel really good about A&M. The weird thing is when they lose this year, no one freaks out. Like it just feels like they just flush it and immediately move on. Like we saw how they responded on Saturday. Obviously, I think that this team, if you're going to really, really nitpick, I thought that they did a fantastic job chasing Cam Johnson in the first game and then kind of letting that OU bullpen off the hook. Bodine was really good, but then they bring Bodine back on Sunday, and he's not very effective at all. So it was kind of just a series where one team had to win, one team had to lose.
Yeah, like you said, I still trust in both these teams. I think they're still 2 very good teams, at least offensively. If they have more weekends like this from a pitching standpoint, then we're gonna have kind of stuff to talk about. But I'm actually high enough on both these pitching staffs where it's like maybe I can write it off a bit. Like this isn't something that's happened 2, 3, 4 weeks in a row as a pitching staff as a whole. Like Cam Johnson has. But like as a pitching staff as a whole, whether it's A&M or Oklahoma,
Nick, actually, I did want to fact check you on that because I pulled up his stats. Santa Clara went 5 1/3, 2 hits, 1 run, 2 walks. So this was kind of his first bad start. Granted, it was really bad. 7 guys in 7 outs. But again,
I think it was the Gonzaga start that I was thinking of.
I'm not mistaken. 5 innings, 9 hits, 3 runs, no walks. That's kind of mad. But again, it's SEC play. And this is now the second start where, Weston Moss has faced 2 quality opponents and got shelled twice. I think that's really the only cause for concern is, do you slide Weston Moss out of that Saturday role and move him into more of a flex? But with Josh Stewart out, they really need long outings. Nico Partita warmed up on Sunday to kind of come in and pitch, as he was kind of a slight 2-way guy.
I didn't even see that. Yeah.
It'll be a really interesting week, I think, for Texas A&M. They get Georgia coming to town. They in another small ballpark. The A&Ms in Georgia seem like they always play kind of classic series. As last year or 2 years ago, remember that was where like they blew the 10-run lead. Or they had the 10-run first inning and then all the nonsense with the sticky stuff. But
yes.
OU has LSU on the road. LSU exposed Oklahoma last year up in Norman. It feels like the inverse is about to happen. I think that you could almost count on Cam Johnson to kind of have a bounce back game, in my opinion. But for OU, this is a pesky lineup. I don't think anybody had this lineup being as good as it is. But they actually had more homers than A&M on the weekend. They took lots of competitive walks too as well. And I think OU's, if Kentucky's the best team no one's talking about, I think OU's right up there with them.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a high quality Oklahoma team.
It really does feel like nobody's talking about this Oklahoma team, even though basically every single publication has them ranked in the top 15. It seems like they're the quietest top 15 team in the country that nobody's really talking about. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to talk about Willits. But then, yeah, Camden Johnson, the transfer in. Nobody's talking about Nolan Stevens, who transferred in.
Brendan Brock won SEC Player of the Week.
Brendan Brock. I didn't know he's SEC Player of the Week, but yeah, obviously a great weekend.
So this is from the Oklahoma Baseball Experience, so shout out to them. 7th in Baseball America, 8th in National College Baseball Writers, 8th in Perfect Game, 8th in our poll, and number 1 in their hearts. So
yeah, and nobody's talking about them, and I think they're okay with it. Like, I also, though, if I'm an Oklahoma fan, I'm probably upset. Like, this is, and maybe it's because I'm still waiting on this Jay Johnson LSU thing to click. But I think this might be the worst time to travel to Baton Rouge because
I don't know.
That fan
this
base
feels like a statement.
Maybe. I kind of, we'll see. It is possible. Like, obviously, 2 things will happen. Like, 1 of 2 things. It's either Oklahoma goes in there and it's like, okay, LSU just sucks, or Jay Johnson gets his team together. That fan base is going to be, no matter what happens, whether it goes bad or whether it goes good, they're going to be insatiable, like just insane on Friday and Saturday. So I think this is the last weekend I would want to go to Baton Rouge if I were an Oklahoma fan. But I think it's going to tell us a lot. Like, let's see what Camden Johnson, especially Cam Johnson. Camden is the other transfer. Cam Johnson going back to the school he transferred from. That's a lot of pressure, especially on a Friday night in Baton Rouge. We'll see how he handles it. I want him to be better. It can't be this 4 or 5 walk Cam Johnson if they're going to win. But yeah, I'm high on both these teams coming out of the weekend. Just to finish it off.
That is all that we have time for here today. We have the Rydell Report coming up. We will be back Thursday, the hour before Ole Miss, Kentucky, and LSU, Oklahoma. So if you want to get any kind of rundowns on any of those series, come hang out with us right before. And then right after that, we'll have our immediate reactions. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. See everybody in the Rydell Report.